Welcome to CanSki Interview. I am Juliana Luker and I will be interviewing a Paranordic athlete, Louis Fortin. First question, when did you start cross-country skiing?
I started cross-country skiing in 2009, more on the competitive level. Before that, I was only doing recreational ski, and that was 1 or 2 times, 3 times a year. Cross-country ski, the competitive level came almost by chance. Actually, it's the Cross Country Canada wanted to have athletes, Paranordic athletes for Canada Games, and they were asking to find 3 athletes per province. And it just so happened that one of my friends was on one of those committee, and she said, well, I know one guy and I'll ask him if he wants to try it. And that's how it started for the 2011 Canada Games.
At what age did you lose your arm?
I lost my arm at the age of 14, and it was due to cancer, which was in the shoulder bone of my right arm. Yeah.
At what age was your first race? Did you do well?
So in 2009, I think it was only like 2 months after I started to train and to learn more of the techniques. Before 2009, I didn't skate ski at all, so it was only classic when I was doing recreationals. Now, November 2009 that I started, and in 2010, it was, I think, in February, that was my first race. They actually sent me to nationals because that's the only place where you could find Paranordic athletes competing. There was no other athletes here in New Brunswick. So only a few months after I've learned a few techniques, I was at nationals in Canmore, and that was the same year of the Paralympics that were in Vancouver. So the Russian team was there, all the Canadian team was there. It was really overwhelming, stressful. I didn't know what I was getting into, and they just said, well, go there and try and you'll see what happens and where you stand in the level of competition. So I finished last, but that's the start of my journey, and not at the same place at that time, I guess. You go to nationals, you got always sprints, middle distance, long distance, and sometimes you would have 2 middle distance. So you would do skate skiing some races, and other races would be classic skiing. So I did both.
How did losing an arm affect your view on the sport and your desire to win?
Actually, the Paranordic skiing is my first experience with para sports. Before that, I've played soccer for many years, almost 15 years, and that was at the university level, senior level. I've played ultimate frisbee as well for almost 10 years, went to World Cups in Europe and Italy. Played nationals as well, and that was always, they call that able body, so with no disabilities. And I've always done sports with no disability before that because I didn't really know that other part of sport that it existed, and so that was pretty new. And it's funny that those first nationals that I went in Canmore, that's where you notice, okay, I kind of fit here more than doing able-bodied sports where you're always a little bit at a disadvantages to others, even though I was pretty competitive in those soccer and ultimate frisbee. But that's where you find out, oh yeah, that's probably where I fit most in, and it's really different. As far as desire to win, it's kind of funny because all this adventure, I call it an adventure, it builds up, and I never know where it's going to bring me. It just new opportunity comes up, and then, okay, let's try this and we'll see where it brings me.
What are the challenges of skiing with one arm?
Well, some of the challenges are exactly the same as people with 2 arms or 2 legs. So it's a lot of balance. But other than that, it's for sure having 1 arm. Your whole body is already realigned. So sometimes we develop over time manners or just a way to move that will take care of that out of focus or out of line balance. And when you're skiing, you really need to always do a complete weight transfer from one ski to the other, and sometimes it's harder, because if I over switch my balance on one side, if it's on my right side, then I don't have a pole where I can lean on to get back my balance if I go too far away. So sometimes it's hard. I really need to focus more, and I think I need to be more technical than somebody that has two arms and can sometimes cheat, let's say, like not use a perfect kick or not do a perfect weight transfer. So I think it's more technical when you're using one arm.
Is there someone or something that inspires you to continue with skiing?
Well, it's a lot of different things, I would say. For sure, when I'm at those Paranordic competition and you meet the other athletes that are that have the same challenges as you have, it feels more like your family, because they know what you go through and how it feels to be skiing. That's one thing. Then I think, like any athlete, you look at the other athletes that are at the national level or international level and they're winning medals, and you just say, hey, I want to be like those guys. I want to try and be as good as they are. But as well, just all the other aspects that that right now focusing on going to nationals, and what it brings me going to national camps as well. So I learn from the best in Canada, and I can bring that back in my community, and then try to share that as well. So that's really interesting to do, and I guess all the other aspects that it brings as well, the going at that level and then coming back home and sharing.
Okay, number 8. Is there ever times when you feel like you want to stop skiing? What motivates you to keep going?
Yeah, it does happen. It happens kind of not frequently, but it does happen. I think it's the way life goes. I'm not only skiing, so I have a family, I have work, I have other passions as well. Sometimes I want to pursue, and you just need to balance all that. And some days it's just overwhelming. Like you only have 24 hours in a day, and you at least have to sleep 6 hours if you want to have a good day the next day. So sometimes stuff happens and you can't do your training, and that sometimes can go up for 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, and you just, okay, should I stop? That's becoming too much. After that is just taking the time or leaving time go by, and usually just everything clears up. So far I've been keeping on doing it, and it's been good. The qualification process for the Olympics is 3 organizations that are putting their criteria in place. So the first criteria is called the IPC, which means the International Paralympic Committee. And so their criteria starts a year before. So what they're asking is, at a World Cup competition, every athlete that can make 30% of the time of the winning athlete is eligible to go to Paralympics. And that percentage, I did it at the last World Cup in the States. Cross Country Canada are saying that they will have the same standards as the IPC. And then we're just waiting for the Canadian Paralympic Committee. Last Paralympics in Vancouver, they did exactly the same. If nothing changes from 2010, that means I have a spot on the team. But we won't know for sure until December next year, where there will be another World Cup here in Canada, in Canmore. That will be December 2013. So, and that's only like 3 months before the Paralympics. it's actually exactly the same athletes that do World Cups and Paralympics. For sure, I'm not going there with the idea of winning, like being in the best three and winning a medal, because first of all, I haven't been skiing for long enough. And the other thing, I'm right now just a part-time skier. So I do it after I work. I think if I would really do this full-time, like all the athletes on the Paralympic or on the World Cup tours, I would probably be able to be pretty close for medals or stuff like that, from what I think, but that's, you never know. Yeah. So right now it's mostly trying to get a place on the national team, to go for experience, to learn more about the sports, about the techniques, and how it goes as well. I see this as opening doors as well for athletes locally. Like, just, okay, so this is the system, this is how it works. If you want to know more, I can show you the steps because I've been through them. Pretty much the way I see it right now. It's just an amazing adventure.
How long have you been training for Sochi, and how much training do you do a week?
Training for Sochi, actually just the thought of going to Sochi has been recent. Last year, after the World Cup. So it's been only a year. But it's been so vague about the criterias and what will be open for even to go to a World Cup. You can't go by yourself. So Canada, Cross Country Ski Canada, needed to open up a development team in order to send a few athletes there. Okay. And we only knew that they were going to send a development team. That was this year. I only knew that I was going to go to the World Cup in November, so that's only like 2 months before. So sometimes it's really hard to set up a goal and train for that goal, but right now I know that I will go to the next World Cup in December, so that gives me pretty much a year right now to train for that World Cup and try to get a better percentage as well. So if I get better percentage, even if one of those organizations put criteria higher than they did in Vancouver, I will probably be able to make the national team for the Paralympic. So as far as number of hours training, right now it varies from 7 to 10 hours, but since we're in the competitive season, it drops down more to 7 hours and sometimes 5 hours a week. So right now it's less, but during the summertime it will go higher.
How well did you do at this past World Cup?
Past World Cup, I finished, I think it was one of my best races, finished 10 out of 14, and that's where I got my World Cup points.
What do you love so much about cross-country skiing?
It's funny because sometimes I ask myself when I'm inside and I have bad days and I'm saying, oh, maybe I should just stop. And you were asking exactly, why do you keep on going when you have bad days like that? Well, it's pretty much when I go out, or if I do a training camp or a competition where I'm with other athletes, that's where I feel, well, this is my place. I feel like it's my family, and it feels great to be at those events.
Last question, what would you say to anyone considering trying cross-country skiing?
Oh, go out, do it. Even if it's just 15 minutes, just try it and start. I guess for any activities, just go out and do something, move a little bit, and a little bit more every week, and at one point you won't notice and you'll be doing 3 hours in one weekend because you just love it so much. I just did today 2.5 hours, but a year ago I didn't think I would be able to do as long as that because I just found it was exhausting to do it, or just boring, because after 2.5 hours sometimes when you're alone it becomes boring, but you get just used to it and start with 15 minutes.
Was our interview with Louis Fortin. I'd like to thank him for coming, and thank you for watching.